Angie, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Oh, thanks, LuAnn. It's super great to be here.
So, Angie, I just put you through the ringer for 40 minutes, I have to say. Your business is helping women, specifically women entrepreneurs, create online businesses. And as you've just learned, I have a strong bias against this. I have a strong protective mother bear, sensibility about me for my listeners, because building an online business is not an easy thing. And believe me, I'm a fan of Amy Porterfield. Listen to her all the time. Jenna Kutcher. I listen to all the girls. Okay. But I know it's not easy. I know what I've been plugging away doing for 8 years. And whenever I hear that an interior designer is going to literally, they don't say this, but I hear, distract themselves by building an online business, I'm just like, girl, can we get the first one locked down? I know Shay McGee and Amber Lewis and Bria Hamill and others have been very successful doing it, but I've also had the conversations with them on what went into doing it. And so the thing for you, Angie, is you said the magic words to me as I was grilling you for 40 minutes before we recorded. Is, LuAnn, I would like to help women business owners sell more things to their same clients and maybe pick up a 10 to 15% revenue share that they were leaving off the table. And I was like, oh, now keep talking to me.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this, Angie. What does this mean? Because that was like, okay, now I'm good. Now I can talk to you and present you to my people without feeling like, we're putting them down a road that I don't want them to go.
Yeah. I mean, your people are well taken care of. I will just say that. That was it was an amazing conversation. I'm super glad that we had it. And yes, you are all in very safe hands. I think the big thing for me is, and LuAnn actually just helped me understand this, that saying that I'm helping people build an online business is actually doing my business and all the people that I'm trying to reach out to a disservice, because it really isn't about creating a separate business from what you're already doing. It's really about taking the things that you're already doing and re-offering them to the people that you're already working with, just like LuAnn said. And so I think it's common. Well, there's a lot of things that are common in this, right? It's very common for designers, for service-based businesses, period, to offer their product, offer their service to somebody one time and think that that's it. That, okay, I'm done. I did this one space for them, and that's all I can do for them. I can't reach out to them again. I don't have anything else to give. And I think it sells you short, that there is so much more to give and so much more that they want from you. They just don't know it. And so there are a lot of opportunities to reach back out, to re-engage those people that you've already built an amazing relationship with. And, there's another reason I feel like why this is so important is because, we probably don't need to go through the stats, but I work specifically with women. And so, there's 25% of women-owned businesses make it to 15 years, right? That's a really, really low. So 15 years is a sustainable business, right? You've gone through the hard times. You've got your feet on the ground. You're making a decent amount of revenue. You've got things pretty figured out if you can make it to that point, but only 25% of the women that start out make it to that point. So that means that there are a bunch of us that are grinding it out and not reaping the benefits of it. And along those lines, one of the things that we don't benefit from is a lot of us are self-financed. So we don't have a lot of people that are investing in our businesses. And, a lot of us don't even consider that when we're starting our businesses. We look at our savings account, we look at what's in there, and that's what we have to build our business. And so what I see is, that's great. And that makes for some kind of tight times. If we're short on clients, if a project gets delayed, if something happens, things are tight enough usually that creates a huge bind. And the first person to feel that is usually the owner. And, everybody else is getting their paychecks before them. So what I see is establishing these kind of I don't want to say upsells necessarily, because I look at them separately from the what started your relationship, but these additional offerings become ways that you can become things that you can rely on in those tight times. They're quick, they're easy, you can do them in volume, you can reach out to the people that you already have on your list, and they're already interested in what you're doing. They've proven it over and over and over again. And so it's a nice way to make some decent extra revenue without a ton of extra work.
So that's the magic sentence right there for me.
Yeah.
Is for clarity. We have the Shay McGee's, the Bria Hamels, the Amber Lewises, and others that have been very successful in the online space. And it's very intentional on their part. They are interior designers that are at the top of the food chain. They are charging top design fees and making maximum profit on product sales and all these things. And their online stores are specifically so all of the aspirational people who will never be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, Amber Lewis, I'm going to pay your fees, I'm going to do this. They get to feel like they have some part of their idol that they admire from a design standpoint in their home. They go, oh, this is the kind of look that Amber does, the kind of look that Bria does, etc. So this is not that. That is a legitimate thing. If somebody has got a big enough following, a big enough email list, and by big enough, I mean multiple 6 figures into 7 figures of emails and following. But you are specifically talking about the designer that feels like and you correct me, Angie, but when the flip switch for me in our off-air conversation was, if I'm the designer that I consistently get told something or asked for something that I could deliver, but I typically don't, can I figure out a way to spend some time and energy in seeing a path on that deliverable and then work with someone like yourself to work all the paths, right? So you mentioned in the off-air conversation, possibly, like, for instance, I'll use your example of the holiday refresh, right? So maybe there's a holiday in a box, right? And so you open the box and it's got the candles for the holiday, it's got the pillows for the holiday, it's got whatever the silly things are for the holiday, that a guest room in a box holiday refresh, I don't know, whatever. Right? And what's interesting is when you first said it to me, I was like, all I could see was all the negatives. All I could see was, and I'm going to run through them. Okay, so I have to source this crap at a low enough rate to compare with Target or Home Goods. I've now got to have enough of it so that when I put it online and I say, this is what's in the box, like, I do have enough here. And I got to package it and I got to ship it and all the things. And I was thinking about the designer doing it to the masses, right? I was like saying, okay, if I can get past the fact that a designer with 10,000 followers on Instagram and 500 people in her emails is actually going to get a request for this. Hello, that's not happening. Like, what's the next problem? But the magic moment for me was all of a sudden, because you said, well, understand that, your regular consumer can't really go into Target and put that box together. I'm like, I know. But the magic moment for me was when you qualified, LuAnn, if the designer has a 5 or a 10-year track history of business and they've got 10 or 50 or 100 clients on it, or even they have 2-year track history or 1 year with 20 clients on it, we're talking about offering this to those people. You see, and those 20 or 100 people do know that me, Sally Smith, who has been their designer, is going to put better stuff in the box and I can go find and pick out of Home Goods. You see, I'm not trying to convince all of Instagram that, my box is better than what you could do. And that is crucial for me because
Yeah.
I do know that there is such loyalty with your designer. Your designer's come in and she's built your kitchen, or he's built, you designed your living room or your primary bedroom. And now all of a sudden you want to spruce a room up, and you can't, like, I can't do anything without my designer telling me.
Yeah.
But maybe my business is expanded to the point where I really can't just say, I'll refresh your guest room for you,
Right.
because that's not profitable for me to do. But hey, I got a guest room refresh in a box. I've
Mm-hmm.
got a holiday refresh. See, now I went to a place where, and also, I don't imagine I'm spending 90% of my day trying to figure out an online e-commerce site, you
Mm-mm.
know, that is going to earn me 10% of my money. And now my primary business is going down the toilet while I'm trying to
Right.
do this. I'm saying, I've got a slow moment in my pipeline. What is the thing I could do? What is the thing I can build? What is the thing I can advertise to my existing people who love me? And if I'm a $500,000 a year gross revenue business and I brought in an extra 25,000 this year, yay me, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, totally. And the thing that I love about that holiday box thing is that's something, to just repeat what you said. You don't have to build out a Shopify store to do that. You can pre-sell those things. So you can, laying in bed at night, type out an email like, "Hey gang, I'm putting together these holiday boxes. Here's the price. Here's what's going to be in them." You pre-sell that. It's just a link, just a payment link is literally all you need for that. Maybe a picture with, some inspo pictures, but that's really it. And you can send that out, get those pre-orders so that you don't have to put out all of that money for inventory. You pre-order it, how many things. So you could then, because where you and I, LuAnn, I think we're getting stuck is like, okay, so now they have to develop all of these relationships with these suppliers and manufacturers and
Suppliers,
things like that.
shippers, and
Forget about it.
packages or
Yeah.
packages. I
You
was like,
just pre-sell it, go into Target, okay, I've got 20 people that want this. I'm going to buy 20 pillows. I'm going to buy 20 spray, whatever it is. You already know the number. And so you
right.
can go out and do that. All you have to do in that moment is come up with the products that you want to buy. You can have an intern or an assistant or something go and buy all of those things for you, give them the credit card, put it in their hands. And you literally had to send out one email and figure out a payment link, and that was it. And then what I love about that model is that, okay, so you do it the first time to the people on your list. The next holiday comes around, they're like, I wonder if she's going to do the same thing. You do the same thing, they start to get used to that. They're like, okay, we're doing, and then they get compliments. They've got people coming over, they get compliments on that. So they're spreading the word on your behalf. So you're
Mm-hmm.
probably going to be getting clients just because they saw it in somebody else's house. You don't have to have a marketing budget for that. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
be trying to blow up Instagram or TikTok or whatever. They're doing the work for you. And
Yeah.
and you're again pre-selling it all, so it's not a huge outlay in terms of time and money.
And the thing is, I think what we have to do is literally is the perspective
Mhm.
of how much time are we taking away from our business for how much ROI, right? If we understand this isn't like, hey, I'm going to take 10% of my time away for my business and I'm going to quadruple my revenue. We're
Mhm.
talking about a revenue stream that could be a stopgap for when a pipeline is slow or a season is slow, or just like that thing that comes in and you think you have no business and there comes the $500 check for the thing, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I think about other types of things that could happen. So, for example, you also mentioned, a version of e-design, right? So maybe
Mhm.
somebody and the thing is, for me, I don't want to take full service designers and convince them that they should be e-designers. If
Right.
somebody is an e-designer, we've got Cheney Widmer out there who that's her business model. She makes a killing at it. Like, but if you're a luxury designer, now all of a sudden advertising to the world that, I can also put a room together for $500, it's tough. It's like,
Yeah.
why are you doing that? But again, to me, the crucial turning point was this is something I make available for my existing clients.
Yeah.
We all know that we have the existing client that has spent 50K on their primary bedroom and is never going to spend $1 on the kids' bedroom
Yeah.
or the guest bedroom
Mm-hmm.
or, the study. Like, they're like, yay for all the designers that get full house, full service design. But, there's 100,000 designers in the US,
Yeah.
and forget the international market of everybody listening to the show. A lot of designers are doing the important, lifetime projects for their clients for that special space, and aren't going to see revenue from the secondary spaces in their home. So then if it was, hey, I have this package, I have this room in a box, I have this idea in a box, whatever the designer puts together
Mm-hmm.
for that deliverable, and it goes to the people on your particular email list that you say, I have this other service. We did this beautiful living room for you, and you mentioned how you'd love to spruce up the guest bedroom, and I get it. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be a $25,000 retainer, but you can still get me. You can
Yeah.
still get my intellect. You can
Yeah.
still get my magic touch that you appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is a thing here for designers. And what I said is, you have to listen to what you get asked to do that you say no to.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are your best clients, all of your clients consistently saying, can you this? And you're just like, not really.
Yeah.
Can you this? Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can you package that, right? So that it becomes something that you can deliver easier and more often. That's kind of nothing is on autopilot completely,
Right.
but sort of ish, right? It's like a
Yeah.
semi-custom version, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the other place that I look often in businesses that we work with are, so, if you are a treasured listener, all about the importance of documenting your processes and creating SOPs and things like that. And that's actually a really good place to look for things as well that are repeatable. So there's questions that, and this might even be more of a conversation about how to create some efficiencies in your business, but there's questions that you ask every single client. There are things that you do for every single client. And there are some things that are it's absolutely necessary for you to be a part of that. And your brain and your vision is really important to be a part of that. So there's those things, but then there are plenty of things in those that don't require any of that. You can hand that off to somebody else, or you can package it in a way of like, here's this is actually how I think a lot of like online, I'm definitely not advocating for this, but this is a way that a lot of those online quizzes get made is you get people's interests, you get them bought in by telling them something about themselves based on the things that you're doing for everybody else that you're working with. And
Right.
so there's ways that you can pull things out and create a product, pull things out of what you're doing and create a simplified product than what you're offering to, the high end clients that you're working with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, when you think about it, like, it's so funny because 100 years ago, I wrote an ebook for Window Works called Architectural Digest is Not Coming, which, now that I've been doing online marketing for 8 years, I realize what a dumb title that is for an ebook. But the thing about it is, it's like literally everything I've learned in the last 8 years is don't make it a catchy, fun title, because you have to make it something that's Googleable. Like, nobody's Googling Architectural Digest is not coming. Okay. But the idea is, and the thing is, Architectural Digest is not coming is a phrase that I have used when I've sold window treatments from the 80s. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the point behind it always was, I always took approach to designing someone's custom window treatments, whether it was spending $500 or $50,000 on those window treatments, is that at the end of the day, Architectural Digest is not coming. They're not coming to your house. They're not coming to see if, this kind of blue is the best blue ever. And if it's the Pantone color of the year, like we have to design this for you and for your living. And so that was the thing. I'm like, look, guys, architectural design isn't coming. If you want to put wood blinds here, even though the whole world thinks you should have Roman shades, let's put wood blinds here. Like we're not, breaking any rules that like we're going to get called out on. Right. But the thing is, what I did was I made this ebook that walked somebody exactly through my process for determining what's the best solution for your window treatment. Like literally, like the things that I do, I literally sat there and I was like, what's the first thing I do? I'm scoping out the room. Where is the sun? Am I north, south, east, west? How is the room used? Who's going to use the room? Are we using the room in the day or the night? Do we have neighbors? Do we have landscapers? Are we on a high rise? Like I literally, all the things that I've learned to do. And now it's like, then it's the decor. What is it like? Is there a decor, by the way? Because a lot of times there isn't. But is there a decor? And do we want to do that? And is there an aspiration for the decor? And then finally, it's the melding of all of the desires, the needs, the functions with the aesthetic to come up with the solution. And what I'm hearing from you when you said go to your process, if we wanted to at WindowWorks, we could give that a better name, by the way, and we could pack, and because it needs to be, I mean, it hasn't been looked at in 10 years. It needs new pictures. It needs the whole thing. Please, if you go look at it, just, have grace for somebody who hasn't looked at their own thing in 10 years and knows damn well it needs to be done. Okay. But the thing is, it could be turned into, an online, for $45, this is how you determine how a professional determines a window treatment, and go take it and go to Home Depot and figure out your window treatments. Yeah. Right. Like, so my thing is if WindowWorks were a $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year gross revenue company, and we brought in another 20,000 doing that, we're all like, boom, boom. Yeah. Right. But so I think it's that realistic, like, capturing where your IP is and what your spin on it is, and then having a realistic view of what you can turn it into. I'll tell you another thing that always strikes me as I think is a good idea. In my beach house, I have bookcases, and there's 4 sections on the bookcase, and they're the typical bookcases that there's cabinetry on the bottom half and then all the way to the ceiling. And I'm going to tell you what, every single weekend I look at those bookcases, I'm like, these look so stupid. I'm just like, every single weekend, I'm just like, you're throwing all this stuff out. Half of it came with the house because the house was a model, and it came with the house. And the other crap is crap that I put up there. And it makes me bonkers that every accessory on there is a nautical accessory because we don't know we're at the beach, right? And what happens is every weekend I'm between throw it all away and, well, why? Because then nothing's going to be there. Right. Because I'm like, well, throw it all away and just replace it. I'm like, well, I don't have the slightest idea what to replace it with. I'm the slightest idea. So if somebody sells like, here's the bookcases in a box, I'd probably buy the damn thing. You know what I mean? Because I've walked around Home Goods. I've walked around, the different stores. I've gone online, and I'm just like, I don't know what to put up there. I have the slightest idea what to put up there.
Yeah. It's somebody else's job.
Yeah. But like if I had an affiliation, a relationship with a designer that really did a major work for me, and I'd be like, she's not going to come here and style my bookcases. But to your point, if she was like bookcase styling, I'd be like, oh my God, what's exactly what she would put here. And she's my designer. And so now, even if like, this is so funny, even if I don't know independently if it looks good, I'd be like, well, my designer did that.
Totally. Best hype woman ever.
That's it. It's like, anyway. So what is your service, Angie? If somebody's like, okay, I got my head on straight, I got my expectations straight, I understand. What is it that your company, Clutch Business, does to help entrepreneurs move into this space?
Yeah, I mean, what we offer is fully customized to the individual business that we're working with. I would say, we start out with everybody building that online sales we start out looking at the product that they're going to sell, figuring out the best way to do that. And so that generally means some sort of online platform. Some of these, it makes sense to do something as big as Shopify. Some of these, it is literally just, like I was saying, a payment processor and a link. That they can easily manage and update as they go along. And that's a key to what we do, is that we so my background is in product development and operations. And so everything that I do is focused on making sure, and I know my audience, I know who I'm working with. So everything that I do, I make sure that they can maintain and manage that on their own, so that they are not reliant on us. They're not coming back to us or somebody else over and over and over again. I think we've all had a website that we feel beholden to somebody to make, to change one word, and it takes 2 weeks and $500. And it's something super easy that we could have done ourselves. We don't have that capability. Anyways, that's a long way to get to. So everything we do is built in a way that they can manage it and maintain it themselves. They can continue to build and grow with that platform. And then secondarily, they are they're able to manage it, but they are also able to use it. They are, not, and it makes sense for their business, I guess. So we're not going to build out a full Shopify store if that's not what's necessary. We also make sure that things are fully automated, so that, again, going back to that time challenge, making sure that you're not investing a lot of time in this thing that's growing your revenue X amount, when it's not the meat of your business or the meat of your revenue. So we want to make sure that there are, we focus on automations for a couple of different reasons. We focus on them to make life easier for the owner and their team. We focus on them to eliminate errors and issues that might pop up that starts to draw. So even though the initial setup doesn't take a lot from anybody in the business, we don't want to start dragging them out of what's important to handle issues that were avoidable and things like that. And we look at, with automations, with the setup, and with all of the product work that we do, we look at everything from start to finish. So we look at the product, we look at, to your point, LuAnn, how are we going to get it to these people? How is it going to be delivered? How do we, if it's something that does need to be shipped, how are we going to eliminate shipping damage, which for any business that's dealing with products is crippling, if you're not careful, and can, really quickly suck any profit out of your pockets. And then we look at the delivery to the client and the customer experience. And then, again, looking at the ongoing maintenance of that portion of the business.
Okay. So basic question.
Yeah.
If I have a glimmer of an idea that's not fleshed out, am I coming to you and that's a part of your service, or I need to come to you once I'm like, I got it, I know what I think I can add as a revenue stream?
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely. So most of the people that we work with already have the idea. They've already got it mostly baked. But we can, we offer this for free. We can be an ear and offer option, or, offer our suggestions and recommendations after we have a pretty good understanding of what your business is. And then, if it's still not coming together for you, we can definitely work on that more. But okay. Most of the people, and I think this is probably an important thing to know, and something that you've said or at least alluded to, is that this is something that makes sense for an established business. So this is not something that you want to be doing the first year in. It maybe thinking about it as you go along. There's no reason not to have that kind of thought in the back of your head as you're building those processes, looking at different service offerings and things like that. But this works really well for established businesses. And so they usually are at a point where they're already starting to think about where they're going next. How do we grow this thing? They've got, they've got a solid foundation, they've got consistent revenue, and how do we take it to the next level? And so they usually have already given some thought to some ways that they could do this. But
Okay.
that
I
doesn't
love
mean
it.
that they have to already have it figured out.
Right, right, right. So in a nutshell, if we have an idea, we can flesh it with you to some
Mhm.
extent. If we have a solid idea, you're going to give us feedback on it, and then mostly what you're going to do is help us understand all the moving parts, from creating it from a digital aspect to also how is it going to be delivered from me to
Mm.
this person, and what packaging and what modes, and all of that stuff, because
Yep.
that's also the hard part. So you're going to walk through all of that with your clients on
Mhm.
what does it look like and how we get it from point A to point B.
Yeah. And we actually do the build out for our clients. So, a lot of them, this isn't, it doesn't, they usually don't have a team in place that
Right.
is focused on tech and
Right.
all of those types of things. And so, and it doesn't make sense for them to have somebody on their team permanently that's focused on those things. And so, we usually build, we'll help them kind of form and fully develop their idea, but we also will do the build out then from start to finish in
Okay.
collaboration. They might, we can definitely work with packaging suppliers and things like that, but sometimes it's easier for them to do that and start to establish those relationships so that they've got that in place when we start to back away.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds great. I mean, if that's your cup of tea. But I also just want to, before we go, hammer on that one sentence that you said, that it is better typically if you're more established, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only, and I know you meant it from having an audience to sell to, but also from my standpoint, like, let's get one thing off the ground,
Yeah.
profitable, dependable, reliable, before we distract ourselves with a second thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, I know how hard it is to build a consistently profitable business that you can project annual revenue and hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're not doing that, anything is, the shiny object that takes
Yeah.
you away from it. And that's what makes me crazy. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, a lot of times people will come to the online opportunity and and I know what it is. It's like, not really killing it in my major business. So I thought I'd do this. And I'm just like, okay, let's open up a donut shop too. Like, like, get it under control, make it getting money, and then
Mm-hmm.
figure out other revenue streams off of it.
Yeah.
Right. So I love
Yeah.
that is your philosophy. So
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely want to do this with something that's somewhat proven and
yeah.
something that isn't going to take, a lot of your resources. It's not going to take a huge investment to kind of tack on to things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. All righty. So I don't know, is it clutchbusiness.com? I mean, we'll put the links in the show notes and all of that, but is that the URL to go to?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
clutchbusinesses.com. Yep.
clutchbusinesses.com.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Angie, for being here today and walking me
Thank you,
through this
LuAnn.
topic. And, sorry for the fourth degree grilling
No,
for the first 40 minutes.
amazing. Yeah. That was an amazing conversation. Yeah. Thank you.